Coming up on tonight's show, Impact Rebellion is in the books, and we have a new triple champion. This is a special Rebellion post-show episode of the Daily Wrestling News Show for April 25th, 2021. We are powered by the Eastern Observer. My name is Ryan Joy, and I'm coming to you live from Minutes to Bell Time Studios on the beautiful Treasure Coast of the Sunshine State. And I'm joined tonight by Mr. John DeConnie wearing his cleaner shirt. How appropriate, John.
I dug this out of the freshly cleaned laundry pile just for the occasion.
All right, tonight. I should have done the same and put on a Kenny Omega shirt, but I see people are filing on to watch the show, get our reactions for the post show. Throw in a comment, let us know what you thought about the show tonight. Happy to chat with you about that and put your comments on the air and stuff. But John, we have a new triple champion. That's the big news coming out of the show, right? I mean, Kenny Omega is now the Mega Champion, the Impact Champion, and the AEW World Champion. So did you think for a second that Rich Swann was going to pull it out?
I didn't really allow myself to think it. I mean, there were, of course, a couple of times back and forth in the match where you're supposed to, but I just didn't see anything going forward that didn't lead to, Kenny stacking the gold. I mean, I think the only thing that led me for a minute to waver is the fact that there's so much wrestling on TV now that we hear it so much. Like normally this would have in the past, the build up to it would not have been quite so saturated. So I started to hear it so much. I started to think to myself, are they overdoing this? Are they setting us up for a swerve? But that just didn't make sense.
Well, what's interesting is they spent so much time talking about nobody ever kicks out of the one-winged angel. Nobody ever kicks out of the one-winged angel. It's just, it's the most unbeatable move that you thought for sure somebody was going to kick out of the one, or Rich Swann was going to kick out of the one-winged angel tonight. But they're saving that. I'm sure somebody will, but it wasn't Rich Swann tonight. So, we'll get that down the road, I think. But I really enjoyed the last, I'm going to say 5-10 minutes of the match. V-trigger after V-trigger after V-trigger. Rich Swann was spent, and then you have a little bit of moment of hope, but he's spent. So, it doesn't pan out for him. So I really liked the match. I'm excited to see what this means going forward. Daniel Miller chiming in. Solid show. It was better than Boar Mania. I liked WrestleMania. I was there, but that's I'm sure a lot of people feel that way. But yeah, I mean, John, what do you think they do? I mean, Kenny Omega, they've said he will be on Impact. He will work the schedule. So I expect that he'll be at the tapings and not just in the RV trailer for upcoming shows.
Yeah, I believe we'll see him. They may save him his actual in-ring work for what's the next thing we have, Under Siege. But I'm sure we will see him defend. We will see him work a schedule. He'll be more than just letting Don do his talking while he struts with the belts.
So far in this Forbidden Door thing, we really have only seen sort of Private Party come over, Matt Hardy come over, Kenny Omega come over. And then going back the other way, we really only have seen Don Callis. So I'm wondering if this is going to be a change in that. And now we're going to see maybe some Impact guys come over to get some sort of revenge, try to get that belt back. And yes, Daniel Miller, I'm glad you brought this point up. Thoughts on Impact teasing Joe, Mickey, Chelsea, Okada, Naito. It is interesting. I might have forgotten to bring that up, but when they did that Slammiversary ad, all those faces, come across the screen and stuff, and very interesting, with the Forbidden Door being open, Kenny being champion, a little bit of work between AEW and New Japan. Anything could happen.
Absolutely. Yeah. And like you said, I think now that Kenny is the double or triple or quadruple, depending on how you count the Impact Belts champion, I think hopefully we'll see more crossover because it was all leading up to this moment. And then from this moment, Impact is not quite losing, but it's not their guy, that's their champion. we'll get to this, I'm sure, but they didn't get back their tag belts. So I'm sure, more crossover, more confusion, and something's got to come out of this in the end for Impact. I'll be very interested to see what that is, because right now I don't have a clue.
And my theory is that they're going to lose all their belts, right? I've mentioned that a few times, that they're just going to lose all the belts to outside forces, and then they'll have to rebuild Impact, under some new vision or whatever. But they've done a good start with losing both of their top men's belts, really.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Kenny Omega, the idea of, it's interesting that, like, I have a thought in my head about where he'll go next, where he'll go shopping for belts next. Curious if you have a thought on that, John, of if he's a belt collector and you think he might go for another one now. Do you have an idea where he might go next?
I don't know where the most ready partnership is, but I'm very, considering you watch a lot more of the independents and the foreign stuff, I'd be very interested to see where you're thinking.
I'm thinking a lot more localized than what you might be indicating there. John Moxley has the IWGP United States Championship.
Okay.
And he has a defense against Yuji Nagata coming up. They haven't announced a date or anything, but he issued the challenge. Challenge was accepted. But Moxley's right there on TV with Kenny Omega every week, and yeah, it looks like Omega or Moxley and Kingston are probably going to battle with the Young Bucks pretty soon. But I gotta, maybe Moxley's belt will get put up into this equation as well.
Interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah. Well, to be honest, that was not the only thing that happened on the show today. It was a whole bunch of stuff, a bunch of new champions. The show opened with a new champion. Josh Alexander got the win over TJP and Ace Austin. Surprised both you and I. We thought Ace Austin would retain here. So,
yeah, I picked Ace Austin just because I thought that Ace was going to have a very good year, and I thought maybe, even though he's had the belt for a while, he hasn't defended it too many times, so I didn't think it was quite the time to take it off of him. And then when they had that ridiculous match with Falaba, Madman Fulton, and Petey Williams, and Petey wound up winning that match, playing the giant killer role, I thought, right, I'm okay, there you go. That's kind of a win for Josh Alexander. So that tells me he won't take the belt on Sunday, and wrong again. So
yeah, whenever you try to look at the way things line up, and then you realize, oh, we're talking about Impact, it's like tough. Daniel brings up another point, riffing off of the points that we were making earlier about Impact kind of losing all their belts and then being, rebuilt or whatever. It's possible that they do lose those belts to AEW, and then they put the promotion on the line, and then the new AEW show is AEW Impact. That would be something.
Yeah, that would definitely be something.
Parent company of Impact is Access TV. So it would be very well. I should say parent company of Impact is Anthem. Anthem owns Access TV. So I don't know if it would be in their best interest to do that, but maybe it would, because there would certainly be a lot of eyeballs that go from there to the Impact Prime show. So it's a possibility there too, as a marketing type of thing. But so yes, Josh Alexander, new champion. It looked like TJP was going to win it with the Mamba Splash, but Madman Fulton was there. And good opener, really good opener. If they were bringing new people into the show, that was a good match to open with.
Yeah, I thought it was great that we saw the Mamba Splash, like you said. We saw Fold, we saw Divine Intervention, all three of which were broken, not necessarily kicked out of, but broken up the counts because they looked like the match was over. So we got all three finishers. So now we were, working with a clean slate. Okay, who's going to take it? And Josh was the first one to hit a finisher again. He hit Divine Intervention again on Ace, and he got the 1, 2, 3 as TJP was busy taking Madman Fulton out of the picture on the outside.
Yeah, and then in the next thing on the show, John, I don't know why it didn't occur to me when I found out that Eric Young was going out. There had been rumors about Cass showing up on Impact for a while now, and I had read some of them, and it completely slipped my mind when they announced that Eric Young is going to be out and they need to have somebody in this match. And so I don't know why it didn't occur to me then, but I was naming off Moose and Hernandez and AOP and Connor from the Ascension. I had about 30 different people that I thought it might be. Cass wasn't one of them, but I guess they should have been. He looks really good shape.
Yeah, I'm sure Vince looks at him and goes like, this is exactly what I wanted from this guy.
Yeah.
Like, where was this dedication? Where was this gym work when he was here? And we were giving him the biggest platform in the world because he is cut up and he looks strong. I mean, he whipped Willie Mack around, a little bit there to show that he definitely has raised his strength because that was, I think, one of the glaring things about him in the WWE. You looked at him and you thought, okay, big man, but he didn't really throw guys around like a big man. He seemed certainly not weak, but not strong like you would expect from a big man. And it seems like he's worked on that and he's gotten into incredible shape.
Yeah, he is incredible. He's a specimen. I think he really fits in that Violent by Design group too. His facials were on point.
Yeah.
I thought that was really impressive. So throughout the night, we saw Gia Miller interviewing Tony Khan. We saw Gia with Scott. We saw Gia with Don Callis. We saw, between Impact on Thursday and then this show, we saw tons of people giving their input on who they thought would win the match between Kenny and Rich at the end. But the next major match, we had another title change. Jordan Grace, Rachel Ellering, the new Knockouts Tag Team Champions. They beat Fire and Flava. Rachel used what you and I both described as a fisherman's power bomb.
Yeah. Never seen it done quite that way, but that's the best way to describe it.
Yeah, exactly. This was fun. I did think that possibly Tasha Steelz might have got injured. That was a really nasty toss to the outside there.
Yeah.
She landed really weird on the apron. And Rachel then fell to the ground afterwards, but Tasha it didn't look like a good landing for her, so hopefully she's okay and they didn't have to call an audible in that match and change the finish.
Yeah, but it was a almost 9.5 minute match, and it was, having only seen Rachel Ellering one previous time in her one shot on Dynamite, I didn't quite know what to expect out of her. I was pleasantly surprised. I thought she looked good working with Jordan, and look forward to big things from that pairing.
Yeah, I hope I hope they don't drop the belts back on the next Impact Wrestling. I hope it's a nice run for them. I forgot to mention the Brian Myers and Matt Cardona match. This is a match that people were looking forward to forever. They're the best friends in real life, and again, I think Cardona got hurt in this match. This is when I think they did change the finish.
Yeah, I was waiting, when the referee came, kind of knelt next to him, and as soon as he started to turn towards the back, maybe it's the overexposure of the business. I didn't think it was a real injury because he started with come on, but he didn't go to this. So I was like, okay, it's not but it just kind of laid there for a minute, and and then it definitely looked like I started to believe what you were saying, the way Myers ended it, just kind of picking him up, helping him up, giving him the short clothesline, giving him the roster cut, and getting the win. You hope that's not the case for Matt Cardona, but I guess we'll see where this goes.
Yeah, it sure would be. It sure would be too bad because, if Cardona, I don't know if Cardona's actually, signed, and if he happens to be in that situation, that would be just horrible. Kind of just like Heath, right? He's getting ready to get signed or whatever, and then has to go out with injury. That would be horrible. So,
and if the plan was for Myers to go over the whole time, then I hate to go back to the well here like it did for Cole and O'Reilly, but should have made this a loser leaves town match, and he goes back to AEW where he initially where we know he was signed for a short term contract to begin with.
Right. Yep.
Anywho,
Trey and Sami Callihan in the last man standing match. Gosh. Sami Callihan takes a cutter through a table at the end. I thought it was a really fun finish, the way pile drives him on the stairs, hides him underneath the stairs. He crawls under the apron, then out and, sneaks up on him and gets the win, really, with that cutter through the table. So 15 minutes that match went. Sami couldn't make the 10 count. I think that's exactly, what we were kind of expecting, right? Is that this is Sami's type of match, but it's he never wins them.
Yeah, and the biggest thing for me was where in God's name did Impact buy those tables? We saw the first one not break in the ring. The damn the steel legs or aluminum legs gave out before the table itself when they did the spot in the ring, and then when they did the final spot outside on the floor, yes, the table did snap, but all of this big metal like support strut kind of like juts out that had Sami fallen from a different angle, could have wound up in his abdomen. I mean, like, get rid of those tables, guys. Dear God.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're just joining in on the show here, feel free to put a comment in. Let us know what you thought about any match on the card that you like tonight. Rebellion. We're talking about Rebellion. We're talking about Kenny Omega's big win, triple champion now. We're also talking about the other matches on the card, but feel free to chime in the comments about anything you saw tonight that you like, that you want to shout out, where you think Kenny Omega is going to go next, if you think he's going to go after another belt. Put it in the comments. We have our theories. We've shared some of them already, and I'll probably circle back to that match in a few minutes. But before we do, Finn Juice, they got it done. A lot of people thought that Finn Juice would lose these belts right back to Gallows and Anderson, so that Impact had their titles back. But it goes along with what we were saying before. Impact gets burned down so they can rebuild maybe. But Finn Juice going back to Japan with those belts, unless they drop them on a taping here, this week. So
yeah, and the way the Impact schedule usually goes, they may tape 10 weeks of programming this coming week, so they could defend him 3 more times and still lose him on the 4th try. So
right.
count me amongst the people who thought the Good Brothers were going to get these right back, because I just thought it was too much of a perfect setup to this week's Dynamite to have the whole Bullet Club there, just to borrow a phrase, draped in gold. And I think now it gives more credence to what you've said in the past, that I didn't want to go with it. I kind of filed it in the back of my mind, but when you mentioned that maybe we wind up with Good Brothers versus the Young Bucks, it's some kind of jealousy, some kind of infighting in the Bullet Club. Now it makes more sense, because if they were all just going to be there showing off their gold, everybody's happy. Now I think the Good Brothers are going to look like the odd men out. What are they going to do? Are they going to be holding the extra belts for Kenny just so everybody gets their hands on some gold? So it'll be interesting to see what happens on Dynamite this week.
Well, that is a role that he is going to need if he keeps collecting belts, because Nakazawa is not a big guy. He can't carry too many of these belts. Travis chiming in, maybe the 24/7 title, something that Kenny Omega could go for next. Interestingly, in the commentary, Matt Stryker did bring up champions from everywhere. He said Kenny Omega is the champion to beat. He said not Rush, not Fatu, not Ospreay, not even Bobby. Omega is the champion to beat. He didn't bring up R-Truth or whoever is the current 24/7 champion. I'm not sure if it's him or if it's Bugenheimen under his Dorito roll or whatever, or deodorant roll, whatever he's doing. But right now, you never know. You never know. They might find one of those.
That one's nice and easy. Kenny could win that one just strolling through the parking lot before a Raw taping. So
Yes, yeah.
That's nice and clean.
But I maintain that he may go after that Moxley belt. That's I mentioned that earlier in the show. If you've been listening the whole time, I think that IWGP United States Championship is a belt that's kind of it's under the same roof. So if they want to get a New Japan belt in there, that's one they could work with, without having anybody to get any sort of hard feelings or anything. And then the last match before the main was Deonna Purrazzo getting her win and her defense over Tenille Dashwood. She remains Knockouts champion. She's had a great run, John. I know she lost the belt for a minute with Su Yung, but man, what a great run for Deonna Purrazzo. Wrestler of the Year, Knockout of the Year last year, and it's looking that way this year too.
Yeah, she is. At the end of the match here, we saw the new Taylor Wilde, which I almost thought was kind of a waste of bringing her back. Like, okay, once again, I'm playing amateur booker, and I know I have absolutely no qualifications for it. But I thought the more fun thing to do was have her show up on Thursday and say, "I've cleaned out the division. Who's left? I've beat everyone there is to beat." Then Taylor Wilde comes out. She just, she came running down after they started triple teaming Danielle because Kimberly was back along with Susan at ringside, and Taylor Wilde cleaned out the ring. So obviously that's where she's going next. But
with Tennille Dashwood being a heel, who was hanging around saying, "Oh no, somebody saved Tennille Dashwood."
Exactly.
We didn't have a ton of sympathy for Tennille Dashwood, the heel. It's like, in fact, we were kind of hoping maybe Sue Young would appear and beat up Tennille Dashwood too.
Yeah. Have Caleb come back in, try and save her, and then have the 3-on-1 beating transfer to him. That would have been even more fun.
There you go. Yes. And then Impact announced 3 shows. They announced Under Siege May 15th, Against All Odds June 12th. I believe they used the word pay-per-view, but I do believe they meant Impact Plus special, sort of the network specials. And then Slammiversary. They gave no date. They just said July. Daniel Miller brought up earlier on the show that they showed pictures of Samoa Joe and others as, kind of like last year. They teased it, It's going to be after July 15th, right? Because we're going to get after that 90-day non-compete from all those guys that were just released.
There you go.
And, it's, teasing the arrival of new people and stuff. It makes it really fun for them and very interesting that they have a pay-per-view right after that. Now, I thought they were not announcing the date because I thought they were holding back and that maybe fans return for Slammiversary. That was the first thing I thought of. But it could be that they had a date for Slammiversary earlier in the month, and then April 15th came around, so they moved it back.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we've had our the president tease that depending on how things go, we might be fully open for business by July 4th. So as more places allow people in, they might be able to book a nice building to bring people in. So yeah, I guess they're playing it by ear. See how that goes.
I would, I have to say that I always talk about, I didn't get to go to Money in the Bank, and I didn't go to SummerSlam. I had tickets to those shows, but they got canceled because of the pandemic. I also had tickets to Rebellion last year, and I didn't get to go to that. I've never been to an Impact live show. Nashville is nowhere near where I live, but my wife's cousin lives in Nashville, and we are going to visit her in July. Or she lives in Tennessee. So if the stars align and I'm there and they're accepting fans, well, you know how I tend to go to a wrestling show. So.
Yeah, and hey, you might even get even more lucky than that. And whenever they do decide to do it, we all know Florida has almost no rules. So
yeah, that's right.
Building in Florida.
Yeah, do it Tampa, Orlando, Jacksonville, or Miami, please. And that brings us back to where we started. The Kenny Omega, Rich Swann. We didn't talk about it before, but Rich Swann had seconds in this match. Willie Mack and Eddie Edwards both came out. They were in his corner. Tony Khan, Tony Schiavone, Jerry Lynn were in the crowd. Aubrey Edwards was referee on the outside. Brian Hebner was referee on the inside. And in Omega's corner, he had Callis and the Good Brothers. It's a very New Japan thing to do, is to have those seconds, the people that come out with you. In the States, we were very familiar with people maybe having a manager come out, or once in a blue moon, you have another athlete come out. But it's common in Japan, so it was kind of a nice little sort of nod to Omega's past and stuff, and then to have Rich do it gave it just a big fight feel, which, it was a big fight feel with Amaro Ranallo doing commentary. It's so great to hear his voice.
Yeah, usually the only time you have more than one, more than your manager, is when they're setting up that there's going to be a brawl, and that that kind of didn't really happen here. Everyone kind of stayed where there was a little bit of interaction, a little bit of getting close, but no all-out brawls, because that's usually to set up some tag team match or some faction versus faction on the line. This was just, like you said, to give it that big fight feel, to give it a little bit of that New Japan feel. And it played out very well. A couple of shots of Tony Khan sitting ringside, like you said. I had hoped, Shivani had been called out earlier in the evening by Tommy Dreamer. I was hoping that we were going to see Tommy Dreamer emerge from the back to slap his fat face, as he said during the intro hour show there, the lead up to the show. But that didn't happen. But we had, there were a lot of people there. Like you said, it definitely gave it a big fight feel. We knew that this was a special night.
Yes, and the Aubrey Edwards and Brian Hebner referee situation was interesting because, when they announced 2 referees, I'm like, oh my God, there's going to be a bunch of drama. There's going to be some bull crap involved here. That's how these things always go, where you have both referees count different shoulders, all those kind of garbage finishes. And we didn't have that. In fact, what we had was Brian Hebner went down. Aubrey Edwards came in the ring first to check on Brian Hebner. And then when Omega, the AEW guy, tried to cheat, Aubrey stopped him, which I thought was really good because, it was a legitimate win in the end. It was, it established integrity in the match, integrity with the officials. And, I just thought it made them, if Omega had done anything, as far as cheating in that match, it would have been, I don't know, the whole thing would have been tainted a little bit.
Right. So it would have, at that point, you would have been, it probably would have sparked your memory of the fact that, the reason he has that AEW title is because the mic shot in that, this whole thing was to build him up as this megastar, this wrestling god, this untouchable entity. And you don't want to get the ball rolling with another half of a screw job finish. I thought that was great the way they played that out.
Yeah, exactly. I'm, very pleased with the way that went. And, onward and upward, and we'll see if he's going to collect more belts. Triple champion. He is AAA. That's right over my shoulder there. AAA. AAA champion. Revolution, that's right directly above my head. So he's AEW world champion. And now Impact. I don't have a poster for that. So, but that's because I didn't get to go to Rebellion. So great stuff though. A fun show. I was really pleased with the way it went down. Big fight feel. I think I've said that 100 times now. Welcome to Impact, Taylor Wilde. Welcome to Impact, W. Morrissey or Big Cass. Yeah. Morrissey or Morrissey? What is it?
Morrissey, I believe.
Yeah. Well, welcome. So, and John, I think that's about it. Good show, like I said.
Yeah, if I had one complaint about the show, and it's not really a complaint, but what is this crap of renaming Deanna's finishing move? That move was Cosa Nostra. What is this crap about the Queen's Gambit?
I hear you.
Other than that, a pretty damn good show.
I like Cosa Nostra myself. I don't know what happened there. Queen's Gambit's a fun name, but that was not the original name. So.
And it's not like she refers to herself as the Queen. She's the virtuosa.
That's right. So I feel like Queen's Gambit is somebody else's finisher, but I don't know. Travis says show was pretty good, but could have used some Pinnacle.
Yes, the pineapple.
Yeah. Well, in the Tennille Dashwood and Caleb had matching outfits, and there was a little bit of a interesting pattern that reminded me a little bit of MJF. And his scarf. So watch that back, and maybe you'll at least feel there was some Pinnacle inspiration on the show. So that said, I had a great time last night. I went to CCW Unleashed down here in Florida. I got to see King Mo wrestle versus Hedy Karoui. That was a great time. A bunch of stuff. I had a great time on the Friday night CCW as well. I've actually had an interview on Friday with Chris Farrow, the CCW Cruiserweight champion. You can check that out. It was a great interview. And also tomorrow morning, I have an interview that I'll play a little something for here in a second as we go off the air. But John, anything else about Rebellion before I do that?
I think we hit on all cylinders here. I think we covered them all. We've even speculated going forward. I think we put a nice bow on it as usual.
Yeah, I think you're right. Well, folks, a couple of things for you to know about the Bell Time Club t-shirt. If you want to join the club, get the shirt, bodyslamclothes.com. It's $22 for all shapes, sizes, and everything includes shipping. It's a great shirt. Bell Time, of course, means to Bell Time, my website. So join the club. And on Fridays, we do the primetime rundown. Join Joey Jarzenka, Ian Schreier, and Rob DeLuca at 6 p.m. each Friday night. They take you through the world of sports, and the show kicks off at 6 p.m. on the Eastern Observer. And on Tuesdays, we have episode 51 of the Essential Wrestling Podcast coming up. Al Carl's hosting. I'll be there. John DeConi and John Smith, Gary Mahaffey. We'll be talking about Rebellion, I'm sure. So do join in for that. We'll get you through all of the week's updates in the world of wrestling. So do come in for that at 6 p.m. on Tuesday. It's there every Tuesday. Then we have the Daily Wrestling News Show every day, Monday through Thursday. Typically, this week we're going Monday through Friday. Our interviews with Florida independent wrestling promoters and ring announcers and trainees and everything this week. So do tune in every day. We'll get you caught up on all of the wrestling news. So everything you need to know, do tune in at the Daily Wrestling News Show, 10 o'clock every day. And John, as we go out of here, I will play my promo for tomorrow's interview. Do not miss my interview tomorrow with Tiffany Nieves. She is a current ring announcer. She is training to be a wrestler. And check this out.